Scott Bryson, Beyond the Service. Tonight I am super excited to introduce you guys to a friend of mine. I've probably known LeeAnn Miller since college, late high school, early college. She grew up with my wife through middle school, something like that. She is the proud owner of a company called Patriotic Me, and that's going to be the story that we tell tonight. LeeAnn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great.
That's good.
So proud of what you're doing. I love your podcast.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. You're very kind. I'll pay you later. So I like your T-shirt. I see you're representing the brand.
Yes, I'm representing Patriotic Me tonight. Thought I would wear something colorful.
Yep, that's
Show
good.
everybody kind of what my products are like.
So what we do here, and you probably know this, is I let my guests just give a quick overview of who they are, whatever they want to talk, 2 or 3 minutes, not even that if you don't want to, like who you are, where you're from, and your family, and all that. And then tonight we're just going to jump right into your story because you've been on Fox, was it Fox and Friends, I believe?
Yeah, well, I was on with Shannon Bream on
Okay.
Fox News and on the radio with Glenn Beck.
Yep. So you've already been out there a couple of years ago, but we want to tell your backstory and then talk about your company and then the sort of the troubles that you went with, because now that we got the right person back in the Oval, we're going to try to turn this thing back around.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so I grew up here in Concord with Elizabeth, your wife, as you mentioned, and my husband John and I have 2 children. And when our youngest child, our daughter Avery, went to college in the fall of 2019, I had been fortunate enough to stay home with the kids for most of their years growing up. Had some part-time jobs here and there, but decided it was time for me to kind of get back into the workforce. And John and I wanted to do something, try e-commerce to see, how that would go. And we ended up, after research, picking Patriotic Apparel. So in the fall of 2020, we kicked off Patriotic Me, actually on September 11th of 2020. And so, things were moving right along and, was having some sales and that kind of thing. And the day after Joe Biden was elected in the 2020 election, I was banned from advertising on Facebook. As probably a lot of your listeners know, advertising on social media is kind of the bread and butter for e-commerce businesses. That's kind of the way it's done. And the message from Facebook was that Facebook was a community where everyone should feel safe, meaning my products made people feel unsafe. And I don't have any political products, or didn't at the time. I have a Trump hat now, but for 4 years, I didn't do anything political. It was all just patriotic. Like my shirt that I'm wearing now, USA, American flag shirts, shirts that say America, that kind of thing. So it was nothing political, and I believe today, as I believed then, that no matter what side of the political aisle you are on, you should be patriotic.
Yes.
Which is what I was trying to promote, pure patriotism, not any one-sided, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that happened, as I said, in November of 2020, and I started reaching out to some of the news agencies to get my story out there, because that was a time when a lot of people, including Donald Trump, were being, censored. And it got picked up by theblaze.com. And there was an article on their digital newsletter that goes to I don't know how many people a day via email about what had happened to me and to my company. And by the end of that day, I think I had sold like over 3,000 shirts.
Wow.
And from there, it was picked up by Fox News, by Shannon Bream. And so that was when she was on at like 11 p.m. And so I was on her show that night. And then it got picked up by Glenn Beck. And that is what really put me on the map. I talked to Glenn Beck on his radio show on a Friday in January of 2021. And probably for 6 weeks after that, I was mailing about 1,000 packages a day.
Oh, you love to see that.
Yeah, the loyal, patriotic people came out of the woodwork to support me, which I'm, so thankful for. So that was great. So that really helped, and that kind of continued 2021 and into 2022. Eventually, Facebook, with kind of giving me any notification, allowed me to advertise again. But it has still been an uphill battle, and it really got worse to the point in 2023 I was spending more money on advertising and kind of my digital marketing person than I was making.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to cut all of that out.
Yeah.
One of the biggest projects I did in early 2023, I'm sure that I don't know if you've maybe met Haley Shuping. She is a wife of a fallen police officer here in Concord, Jason Shuping.
Yep.
And so she started her own company. She's such an impressive young woman. After her husband died, she decided that women needed more clothing to carry a concealed weapon. She's a jogger, so she designed a pair of leggings where you could conceal carry, and so I've given every sale I give to Tunnel to Towers. I give a little bit of money to Tunnel to Towers. My marketing people's idea was, let's do something else. Let's do something for somebody else. So I partnered with Haley, paid to have a video done, a professional video, to tell her story and kind of what she was doing. And we designed a shirt together, and I was giving 25% of the proceeds of the sale of her shirt to a scholarship that she has started in her late husband's name for the basic law enforcement training class at our local community college. So, we put a lot of effort in it, a lot of time, a lot of money. And when we finally had it all together and we put it out on social media in 2023, less than 1% of my followers were able to see that. That was the reach that I got. So, we kind of started going back and looking, and this whole shadow banning thing had been going on for so long with my products. We would try to promote and pay for an ad, and it would get accepted, but then they would pull the ad, and we'd have to fight to get the money reimbursed. Anything that had to do with police officers was not allowed. Like I would set up, like a shop now button on Instagram or wherever, any of the social media platforms, and they would not allow me to put on like my Blue Line shirt for the police shirt. So it's just been a constant battle. I'm hoping that'll change.
Well, I've been wanting to have you on here for a while, and of course, I've known about this from the very beginning because, we're all friends, and you're keeping us up to date in real time, and it really pissed me off, if I'm going to be completely frank. And now, 4 years later, or 3, whatever it's before, I guess, I have a podcast of sorts, and I have a super small voice. No Joe Rogan or Sean Ryan. I'm afraid to say I'm not going to be able to blast you out there like those guys do. But I am. The whole point of this podcast is to help people, and whether it be with their faith or marriage or business, whatever. Like I just can't stand bullies, And I just wanted to kind of. You said a lot of things I want to touch on just then. Let's talk about the beginning of your company. You created a company in 2020, which was the height of COVID. It's an e-commerce business. That's how they would tell us, hey, social distance, stay at home, you were trying, your company should have been booming. It's e-commerce. And for some unknown reason, they just held you back.
Right. And very ironic that all of it really hit the fan the day after the election of Joe Biden as our president. Yeah. So, it's just, it was unbelievable, completely unbelievable. But, he had a lot of influence over what was going to happen the next 4 years, as we've all seen.
Oh, yeah. I want to so you said, I'm sorry, did you say you started in November of 19?
No, well, we started doing the research and all of that when Avery went to college in 2019, but didn't really kick off. It took us about a year to get the products and the website built and all of that. So we officially opened the business in the fall of 2020.
Okay, so it wasn't very long.
By November, 2 months in, I was already.
Okay. And so as soon as he's in, it's game over. Yeah.
Right.
And then, but we're supposed to believe that's the party of tolerance and love and all that good stuff, right? So
right. And again, it wasn't anything political.
No, I know. I'm
completely, which makes it more unbelievable.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to speak. We're just talking the truth on here, and I didn't even know what shadow banning was, at first, I guess. And then I heard some
Me
people
either.
talking about
Me
it, and I was
either.
like, is that really a thing? Did you ever learn did you ever get a lawyer involved or anything like that? Or did you ever got threatened to have to sue or anything? Or,
I did not. I didn't. I didn't really want to do that. That just didn't feel right at my core. Nor did I feel like I could go up against, these big tech companies. So no, I never did that. Never considered it. And again, the the media coverage I got really, really helped and sustained me for over a year with all the loyal customers that bought from me again and again. I mean, I have people that have, purchased shirts 15, 16, 17 times. Loyal patriots. But then, again, it started really to dwindle in 2023, to the point where I really, I don't have the money to advertise anymore. I'm sitting on a ton of inventory that, I really need to move.
well, I would love to. I would love to help you get rid of some of that stuff.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
I mean, we have some of it here, obviously, at our house. I think what you touched on early on in this conversation was the fact that your company's called Patriotic Me, and the word patriotic or patriot has nothing to do with politics. It's like what I haven't ever understood, LeeAnn, is how if you're from Russia or China or country X, you can wave your flag and be proud of yourself. But if you wave the American flag, you're somehow a xenophobe or something.
Right. But there's a bad connotation associated with our country, and and the freedoms and the rights that so many have fought for, so that you can wave another country's flag, or for heaven's sakes burn our flag. It's absolutely ridiculous, the things that are happening still today.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of these people, like Rush Limbaugh used to refer to some people as low information voters. It's like if you tried to do some of the crap in these other countries that you do here, you'd be thrown in prison probably
You
without
would.
ever having a trial, and they might do something worse than that.
Right. Right.
So, okay, well, I wanted to ask you something else about okay, I know what I was going to say. So, not only did you start an e-commerce business in the height of COVID, which should have, hey, we're trying to figure it out. That's what they told us to do, trying to figure it out. Not only that, but, you are a woman, and they're talking about women of color and people of color and transgender and LGBTQ. What about the straight white female? I mean, did you
I
just get
know.
left? I mean, did you just get left behind too?
I got left behind. Again, I don't personally think like they think. I think is the reason that I'm left behind. I'm a conservative female, so I don't think I get quite the credit that maybe more liberal women get. Even though I was trying to own my own business and get out there and contribute to my family, which is what I really wanted to do. My husband had been bearing the brunt of all of that for a lot of years while I was at home keeping the home fires burning. So, I wanted to be able to help.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can remember 9/11 just like me and vast majority of the people watching this. 9/11, that was that's the only time I think in my lifetime that I can remember the whole country kind of unifying and coming together, like both sides of the aisle.
Right.
And I
Right.
just don't understand. Like Elizabeth was telling me how you're being, I call it blackballed, but shadow banned, or whatever the algorithms are to hold your stuff back. It's infuriating that one or two tech guys who happen to be super smart and have been successful and have a lot of money, like they're dictating. That's not how this country was set up.
Right. It's not freedom. It's not the freedom of speech, or freedom of making choices. I mean, if people don't like my products and don't want to buy my products, they don't have to buy my products. That's what I say so many times. Let the free market handle it. If people don't like what I'm selling, you don't have to follow me on social media, and you certainly don't have to buy my stuff. But at least give me the opportunity to get out there and get in front of people and give them the option to buy my stuff if they want to buy my stuff. And that's the free market, and that's capitalism, and that's what I think has truly been missing the last 4 years, is kind of just that mindset.
What do you have? I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, because I have my thoughts. Of course, we'll probably never ever actually really know. What do you think? Like, why'd they have an axe to grind with that? You think? What was the point?
I do not know. I mean, again, like you touched on before, somehow the American flag became a symbol of racism, sexism, the misogyny, all of those isms, and it became a negative symbol to almost half this country.
Yeah.
And I think that is where that all came from. It's
That
crazy to me, but I think I think that was the reason, and it made people feel unsafe. Is the actual words that were used.
That is one of the craziest. I've seen some crazy. We've all seen some crazy things in the last 4 or 5 years, and that this is one that takes the cake for me. Literally, what is up is down. What was down is now. Like, people need to read the book 1984. I mean, this is like a page right out of that one of those chapters. It's
Right.
insane.
The world is upside down sometimes, I think, but I think we're getting turned right side up again. I hope.
Yeah, I think so. Let me say what I think it was, and I think you're right. I totally agree with what you said. I also feel like, just with your company as like a microcosm of what's going on now with like the housing market and interest rates, and like my kids and your kids having, yours are a little bit ahead of mine, but like having a hard time maybe buying a home, right? It's like they don't
100%.
want you to have a free market or capitalism, right? Because then you
Right.
self-sustain. Like the kids now, like my kids are like, what the heck are we going to do? The same thing I think was happening. It's the same mindset, the same thought process. Oh, we're going to hold her down because we want her to. We want the populace to be dependent upon the man.
Right. Oh, yeah, the government.
Yeah.
The government's going in and, speaking of houses, buying houses and buying, which, again, that's just not capitalism, not what our country's all about, in my opinion. Not what I want our country to be about.
I can't remember the guy's name. He was in Trump's, when Trump's first term. There was a guy. It was one of his old cronies, I think he's a New Yorker, white dude, and Trump basically fired him because he called him a globalist. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? Like, I know what the free market is, and when did capitalism become such a bad thing? I'm so confused.
Right. How is capitalism evil? It gives everybody an opportunity to be successful. You work hard and make good decisions, and you can be successzuccessful.
Well,
That's
it's
what
funny.
capitalism is.
It's funny too, LeeAnn. I don't. They don't know irony if it bit them in the butt. It's like you got Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these other guys flying around on their Lear jets, but like you and I, we shouldn't drive an SUV.
Right. My Suburban is bad.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
That's right.
But I think that the irony of it, like, I don't even know how old Zuckerberg is. I guess he's in his 40s. I don't know how old the guy is. I don't really care.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I just don't think whether it's him or Bezos or Bill Gates and all this other stuff. Like these, they're basically oligarchs, right? They're just billionaires over here in America. We don't call them oligarchs like they do in Russia or whatever. But like they're tycoons, and everybody wants to throw. If you're a liberal or a left winger or woke or whatever, you want to throw all kind of shade on Trump, but yet you don't really call balls and strikes on your own people, and that's what I like. No, this handful of people, George Soros or whoever, shouldn't be running. Like, I understand they're going to be doing some things behind closed doors we probably can't control. But as far as like running the internet and putting a video, I mean, are you kidding?
Right. One of the things I often say about all of those guys, all the billionaires in the world, the little decisions or the day-to-day things, it doesn't really make any difference to them. They have so much money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The little things like, me not being able to sell a T-shirt, I don't know. Little things like that don't have a huge effect on them.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. I had this conversation with, I think I was having it with my dad or somebody recently, and it's like, if eggs are $8 a gallon, do you think they care? They don't go buy their own eggs. They don't get their own gas. They don't even pay bills.
Right.
They just exist.
Right. Right, and it wouldn't matter if eggs were $20 a dozen, they would be able to buy them.
Yeah. Oh,
So
speaking of eggs, you guys you need to get you some chickens. You tell John to get
I
some
know
chickens.
we need chickens in the backyard. Of course, we live in the city. I don't think we're technically supposed to have them here.
Well, my better half's been chirping about that. I've been trying to push her back on that for a little while.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
ready to have any more mouths to feed.
I know. Well, they could feed you back at least.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true. So one of the things we haven't mentioned yet, and it's my fault for not asking, what's the name of your? Well, we know the name of your company. What's the website?
It's www.patrioticme.com.
Patrioticme.com.
Pretty easy to remember.
Yeah.
Patrioticme.com.
Well, I'm not going to say the person's name because we had a private conversation the other day, but I offered to, and I don't know if he would, have you on or not, but I don't know that many people, but I do know a couple of people up in the New York area, and I was asking LeeAnn if she wanted me to push her information to this friend of mine who's in the TV business, and she said not yet. So LeeAnn, if you ever decide to change your mind, I'll make a
Okay.
call. I don't know. I may embarrass myself. He may laugh at me, but he's a patriot, as you know.
Right.
You know who
right.
I'm talking about, and he's a patriot,
Yes.
and this would really piss him off, I think.
Well, I mean, I'd love to do it if you think I'm polished enough with my message.
Listen, if he talks to me, yeah. I set the bar pretty low. So no, I think that the fact that I know we're kind of beating a dead horse here, but the fact that I want to make sure people that are watching this understand, and then we've kind of moved out of it, so we're not going to live in the past too much, but censorship is alive and well. I have a new podcast. This isn't that old, and I have TikTok and Instagram, and some of my videos, are held
Are
way
censored.
back.
Yeah.
I can do a video that gets hundreds of thousands of views, and then I'll get one that gets 3,000.
Interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, and I often say at the end of the day, I mean, thank the good Lord above that what I was doing with Patriotic Me was not what was putting food on the table and keeping a roof over my family's head. Because if that had been the situation, I would have been in a huge mess.
Yeah.
Thank goodness my husband still had his job and was able to support us. But if I had been primary breadwinner in our home and that had happened to me, it would have been a mess, a financial mess for us.
Well, you just said something that made me think. I hadn't thought about this until now. Here you are playing it straight, trying to do the right thing. And remember all the PPE, all the fraud stuff during
Right?
COVID?
No, I didn't take any of that.
I mean, you didn't take a loan or anything?
No.
So it's like hard work is not rewarded. It's so backward.
Right.
It was so backwards. I think we're
Right.
going to get it
And
turned.
I was afraid there would be strings attached to that I wouldn't want. I was a little scared of that. So heavens no, I did not take that.
My last line of work, I had to investigate some of those. It's kind of hard to prove some of it. Some of it relatively easy, but it's like it was ungodly the amounts of money that the federal government just wasted.
Right.
Yeah. But we shouldn't be surprised because what I'm about to say actually did get banned. It won't get banned on YouTube yet, I don't think, even though Bongino refers to YouTube as ScrewTube. So YouTube hasn't done me too dirty yet, so I haven't had to run over to Rumble yet. But I did do a video about 9/11, and the day before that, Rumsfeld was talking about how the Pentagon had lost $2.3 trillion, and then the next day, 9/11. I'm not saying they were connected. I was just reporting facts.
Right.
And that video got taken down for violating.
Somebody didn't like that.
I mean, I was just reporting, like you could go to YouTube and find the video of him saying it,
Yeah.
So it's been going on for 20-something years. It's just gotten worse.
Yeah, I think the deep state was deep. I told my husband today, I think that Trump not winning for his second consecutive term was maybe the best thing that ever happened, because I think
so.
he knew there was a deep state the first time he was elected, but he had no idea how deep it was.
Yeah.
And by having those first 4 years, he realized quickly and had 4 years to plan for what he's doing now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think that maybe was the best thing that could have happened. Maybe
No,
a
it was
little
definitely.
divine intervention.
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, it was a gut punch, and I'm sure it was for him and his family. Because I mean, it was, in my humble
Right,
opinion, listen, are we gonna be able to prove it?
right. You were a part of it.
Yeah, I think it was stolen. I'll just say the quiet
Yeah.
part out loud. I think it was stolen. I can't prove that, but that's what I believe. Like a lot of other people believe that as well. I just think, I don't think people on the other side of the aisle, they were so concerned with his rhetoric, and I'm like, listen, I have several friends that are from New York. They're all loud and obnoxious.
Yeah.
They're not
An obnoxious
billionaires,
New
but like, what do you
Yorker.
think you were getting? Like, and who cares? I mean, we weren't electing the Pope. We were electing the leader of the free world. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I think if he would have gotten reelected, I don't think we would be really that much better off, because I don't think half of America realized how bad it had to get really
Right.
bad before it can get worse, right?
Right.
And
Right.
now I
And
think
COVID uncovered a lot of that.
a lot of eyes were
I think
opened.
one of the things, parents watching their kids go to school online, I think opened a lot of eyes to a lot of things that were going on, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah,
A lot of understanding about what was really happening.
yeah. Well, we're headed for greener pastures now. We just need to get the Fed to lower the interest rate so I can
Yeah,
refinance.
so our children can buy homes.
And my kids can get off my payroll. I'm just
That's
kidding.
right.
No, they pretty much are, but they don't
Yeah.
like, they don't want to rent. Listen, a lot of people rent, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you're
I
just
know, it's just a lot of money you're throwing away.
throwing it away, and like you can't, you got to have 20% of whatever to avoid PMI and all this other stuff, and it's just like it's
Right.
impossible, because basically the mortgages are the same price as rent nowadays. It's expensive
totally.
to rent, but you just don't have the doggone down payment.
Right, right. Yeah, I like the old-fashioned American dream of owning a home. So hopefully we'll get back to that.
Well, I think we're heading in the right direction for sure. Well, I think we're kind of wrapping up here. We're coming to the end of our time, but I just really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything, like any words of encouragement or words of wisdom you might want to speak into a young entrepreneur, man or woman, especially a woman, because of the struggles that you went through? This isn't hearsay. This was firsthand knowledge.
Right. I mean, I would say, obviously, this sounds cliche. Don't give up. Some people have said, well, why don't you just stop, or why don't you just try to sell it, or whatever. But like, I love it, and I love the products, and I've loved doing it. So I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
Find good partners, because I have a great, marketing and tech partner that works with me. He's wonderful. Red Gambit Creative, just to give him a shout out, Nick Versace, but he's here in Concord also. He's been great, and he's been a huge help. And just follow your dreams and pursue, and find a product that you like, or a job that you like. I mean, it'll make it easier, make you happier, for sure.
Yeah, I know. I was a civil servant my whole career, because I knew if I had to sell stuff, my poor family would go hungry. I have a few friends that could sell ice cubes to Eskimos. I don't have that gift.
I know a
So
couple of those people.
I want to have your. I would, if I was talking to John right now, I would say his better half. I'm going to refer to him as your other half. I want to have John on here sometime. Do you think I can corral him?
I think so.
Yeah.
He'd love to talk to you about old law enforcement days, and then his kind of transition
Oh,
out of law
yeah.
enforcement
Yeah.
into sales, selling. He could sell ice to Eskimos.
Well,
I
I
think.
know he's good. He's really good. Well, listen,
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time, and I do hope the best for your company. I will.
Thank you.
I will
I
promote
appreciate
this.
it.
Hopefully we don't get shadow banned promoting it, and then I'll reach out to my friend and see if you guys want to
Okay.
connect.
Yeah, hook up. That'd be great.
Thanks, LeeAnn.
Thank you, Scott.
See ya.